Welcome to episode 506 of the MTGGoldfish podcast. I'm Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we have the full crew here this week, kicking things off with the owner of MTGGoldfish, Richard. How are you this fine Monday, Richard?
Good morning, Seth. Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing super well. We have kind of an interesting cast today. A lot of little topics to get into, but before we get into all that, we got another co-host in Krim. Good morning, Krim. How you doing today?
Pretty good. My Broncos lost, but other than that, I mean, I did get to go watch an absurdly gruesome horror movie over the weekend. I got to watch Terrifier 3, and oh my god,
I thought you were going to talk about
never
NFL injury.
Is it?
No, not that.
I saw a couple videos pop up on YouTube with random people being like, "Oh, this is one of like the most gruesome, goriest horror movies of all time or in recent years." Is it actually that bad? Is it actually that like gory and gruesome?
I have a pretty high tolerance. I actually have an absurdly high tolerance, and there was some stuff that I was like, "Ooh!" It got a little wince out of me, but otherwise, it was a pretty funny time. I enjoyed it.
Funny.
Yeah. I think the takeaway from this is that at halfway through the movie, people were walking out, and it was like families, like parents that brought 8-year-olds. I'm like, why are you showing your 8-year-old?
Yeah, why would you bring your 8-year-old to this movie anyway? Yeah.
There's no way your child should be in here.
Maybe they thought it was like a happy clown movie.
Sure.
Oops.
Sure, yeah.
Anyway, we're not a horror movie podcast yet. We're going to be talking some magic today. And there was no like super big topic this week. So we're going to jump around. We're going to talk about what Magic should do about Planeswalkers, which has been a topic, energy in modern, eroding cards, some new decks in Pioneer, new secret lair drops. So we're just going to be bouncing around today. Before we get into it though, a reminder that today's show is brought to you by Card Conduit. And Card Conduit's the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. If you're tired of the hassles of buy listing, you can skip them with Card Conduit. You can use their curated service where you send in as many cards as you want with a buy list value of $1 or more and pay just a 5% fee. And if you want to do a bit of work, you can use their sorted service where you list and sort your cards in advance and pay just a 2% fee. And either way, you're going to get a detailed report with the results in a fast payment once your order is processed. And you can even get another 10% off by heading over to cardconduit.com/MTGGoldfish. Card Conduit, it's the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. So thank you so much to Card Conduit for supporting the show. And let's talk some Magic, and let's start with the topic of Planeswalkers. So this has just come up in the last couple of days, and I thought this was kind of like a settled topic because not that long ago, Wizards decided we're desparking a bunch of Planeswalkers. We're going down to one Planeswalker in a set. But then just in the last couple days, there's been some posts on Mark Rosewater's blog saying that Wizards is thinking about increasing the number of Planeswalkers in Premier sets again. Maybe they don't know the right number, and asking like, how many do you want to see? Should we have actually desparked all the Planeswalkers? How many Planeswalkers should we be printing? And this has led, which I thought was interesting, to some conspiracy theories where some people are like, well, obviously, Wizards just took over Commander. The reason that they got rid of Planeswalkers is that you can't really use Planeswalkers in Commander because it doesn't work. So now that Wizards controls Commander, they're just going to make Planeswalkers legal in Commander, and then they're going to bring them back and start printing a ton of them. What do you make of this Planeswalker thing? Let's start with level one. Do you think it was right to minimize Planeswalkers? Like, after a decade of them being the face of the game, was it a good call to go down to one a set and everyone losing their spark? What do you think about that now that we got some hindsight?
I think it was a good call to lower at least from 4 or 5 Planeswalkers every set, just because they started churning out vanilla Planeswalkers, which sounds weird, but they were equivalent to a 2/2 bear in that they did all the same thing. They were all like the Obnixilis reignited model.
Yep.
Draw a card, removal, ult, right? That's it. That's all they did. And they were always 5 costs, and there was just a lot of bulk and a lot of bad ones. Now, we're seeing, when we see Planeswalkers, they feel natural and not forced. So I like that because, example, like Ninjutsu Kaido, right, from Duskmourn. That's cool. That's super sweet. Love the way that that plays. It's new. It's innovative. So I like the reduction because now they're not forcing Planeswalkers.
What do you think, Richard?
I think it's dumb. I think so. There's two problems. There is the lore of Planeswalkers, right? Your whole game is based around planeswalking, which I guess the crux of the ability is to go to different universes, right? To cross the multiverse, go to different. You can't remove that. That's kind of part of the game, right? Like I am literally a planeswalker. I'm gonna summon Chandra to my aid, and we're gonna fight some stuff. We can't remove that. What you can remove, however, is the planeswalker mechanic, which sucks, right? That's the mechanic that gives you loyalty. You have multiple abilities, and then for some reason, we got to give you static abilities, and then on your turn, you're a creature for some reason. It's super convoluted. It does not work in Commander, right? Because everyone just zergs down the Planeswalker. And even if you say, hey, we will let you use your Planeswalkers as your commander, so have it be in the command zone, they still suck, right? Because you can cast them and then they get zerged down and they die anyway. So I think the Planeswalker mechanic is scuffed. You should just remove it altogether, or at least minimize it, right? Like, just, have one a set or something, but have Chandra still be a Planeswalker, but she just predominantly shows up on creature cards, right? Legendary creature cards. And then, you can give her Planeswalker vibe somehow, but keep the lore, keep the name, remove the mechanic that clearly doesn't work for your most popular format, which is 100 card Commander.
I will say though, isn't it weird? Like you had mentioned, like that is the other part of me. You do mention that this is a core part of your lore, planeswalking, right? Stuff like that. And to have a planeswalker card, which is a known archetype, and then go back on it at entirely, that feels
battles,
bad, right?
We had the set with battles, and now we never see battles ever again. But once every 2 years, you might break it out for funsies, right? But it's just it's like One Piece, Crim, where you take the same character and slap them on every card and color possible. So Chandra should be enchantment, should be a legendary creature, should be on instants, should be on sorceries.
No.
Yes. This is what One Piece gets right. Okay. Right? Like you don't want to limit it to this one type that's unplayable. And then you're very constricted in design space, right? Like we've seen that. You can take Jace, throw him on a counterspell. It's still called counterspell, but it's Jace themed now, right? But you can make Jace's whatever, like Jace has a legendary creature, Jace's enchantments, just throw it all over the place, but don't tie it to the Planeswalker type.
I guess that's fair, right? You could just do the spellbook approach. And especially in a format like Commander, it could be like Jace's Erasure and Jace's et cetera, make new cards as well. So I guess that's fair. As long as the name of the character is on the card, that's probably more important, like a Chandra's Triumph, right? It doesn't need to be Chandra Planeswalker every time. So I guess that's fair, but Planeswalker cards feel so cool. I just don't like when they're uninspired.
They're all uninspired.
Yeah.
There's one cool one, and then there's remember when Seth played the Chandra deck, and literally multiple Chandras all had the same ultimate, and you're like, I don't know if that's supposedly a flavor win or the most boring copy and pasted homework I've ever seen, right?
But that's why it's cool, right? Because that's so Chandra, and just the way the card looks. I don't know. I like it. I like it. Unfortunately,
wouldn't it be better if we went to
MagicCon
and we're like, I'm playing a Chandra deck. I'm playing a Jace deck. What are we doing instead? It's like, I'm playing an Arabella deck. I'm playing random legendary creatures that are somehow outshining our Planeswalkers, right? And the only time we can play a Planeswalker is when they've been desparked and they've been neutered, right? Just give me the lore appropriate, full blown special Chandra, right? Why not?
Remember the Jace League, though, when they went so hardcore the Planeswalker storyline, and then it ended up turning people off because it just felt like it's Jace getting jammed down my throat every single set. Why is there a Jace every other set? And then people eventually were just like, okay, it just became a meme, essentially. It went too far and became a meme. So I can understand why Wizards would try to minimize it. The sad part is, I agree with Crim that their most recent Planeswalker designs have been some of their best. I actually think, even though they aimed way too high in War of the Spark, I think the static abilities have opened up some really interesting space with Planeswalkers that didn't exist before. And I think that seeing Wandering Emperor and seeing even the new Oko is kind of interesting with its static ability, even though it doesn't really see play. So we've seen a lot. Every set, the Planeswalkers are really interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing more of them if they can keep the quality the same. You could go up to 2 or 3 a set, and I'd be perfectly happy with that if they were all that level as far as how interesting the designs are. If we go back to Ob Nixilis era, then I'm fine with sticking at 1. Do you think that making them legalist commanders would solve this? Like, does that solve the whole problem? They're gonna suck, right? They're not gonna be good commanders, but you just give people the option to play them in commanders, and then it's okay to print them again because everything's got to be for commander.
I got an Amanatu deck, right? The Fate Shifter. And that is the cheapest, probably Planeswalker that I could have as my commander. And dude, it's kind of rough. It's kind of rough, man. Like, I think that just Planeswalker as a mechanic is just not a multiplayer mechanic. Like, unless they're making it so that it's like closer to Teferi, where you can Master of Time, where you can activate it on each other person's turn, stuff like that. They've got to make more Teferis that are a little more buffed. But yeah, like, that's the only way they're going to get better Planeswalkers. They did a good job with, what is it, Vronos? The blue one from the Jeskai commander deck, and it allows you to like phase out 2 Planeswalkers as its +1. And it's like, that's cool. That's kind of cool.
It's so scuffed because you get double the life in commander because you're facing 3 opponents, but your Planeswalker does not. Right? Like, if your Planeswalker had double life, but you can't do that because they can just somehow ultimate immediately. And then speaking of ultimates, doubling season exists, right? Like, you could never pull that off in a 60-card format, but it is quite trivial to do in Commander. So it's like impossible to balance it. And the Planeswalkers that see the most plays are the ones that you use for 1 activation and call it a day, like Ugin the Spirit Dragon, or like Karn, the Great Creator, where you're just going to use it as a combo piece or something, right? Elspeth, another Wrath, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. There's something wrong with your most iconic characters not being represented in the most popular format altogether, right? And it's really tied down to this mechanic. And I know you guys love the mechanic, but like, really, we can just get rid of it. Like, do we really need the Planeswalker so tight?
But what?
It's 60 card. Does it even matter, right? Like, you know?
Well, what do we replace it with? Like, so I guess my worry on the other end would be if you're like, okay, let's just replace Planeswalkers and make way more legendary creatures. People are already burned out on those, and Wizards already trying to minimize the number of legends they print in sets because everyone's like, you gotta chill with printing so many legends. Are people just always going to be unhappy? Like, more Planeswalkers, less Planeswalkers, more legends, less legends. We're just going to complain no matter what. Is that the TLDR? It doesn't matter what you do, WotC, we're going to complain.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true no matter what, right? Like, people are always upset. Like, when I thought War of the Spark was a banger, I loved that set. I thought it was brilliant to see that many Planeswalkers, which worked for that set, right? And then, but like, I think after that point, I think there was that Planeswalker fatigue.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. Maybe I enjoyed a majority of things. Then they kind of just started churning out vanilla ones. So I think no matter what, people are going to be mad once you start putting more of anything into any format, any set.
It is funny, though. What other than Wizards taking over Commander would have led to this change? Because it was not that long ago. They were on the 1 Planeswalker a set, the Omen Pass open, this is the direction we're going. What do you think would cause them to be talking about putting more Planeswalkers back? Like, what else has happened to make them start thinking about that again? Because I thought that was just settled.
It's like literally, like, Planeswalking is the core of Magic the Gathering. So they're like, we need more of these cards, right? Like, we want more characters. Like, I don't think it's some weird Illuminati thing. And like, if you make Planeswalkers legal, nothing will change. Like, everyone will try them, realize how bad they are, and then just go back to like your broken ETB, draw a card, on attack, draw 3 cards, indestructible like commanders with Ward 8, right? Like, we're gonna go back to that. Like, you're not gonna play Jace the Mind Sculptor as your commander. Well, Krim will, but like, no one else will, right?
Yeah.
I
will. Oh, yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they shake out. I think my vote would be make as many as you can make interesting, but if you gotta go back to making the boring ones, I'd rather have no Planeswalkers than the Ob Nixilis cookie cutter Planeswalkers. That was definitely the worst era of Planeswalker design. So let us know what you think. How many Planeswalkers should we have? Curious what the audience thinks. Let's keep moving on. Richard, I gotta talk to you about this. Modern, I feel like we've talked about Modern a little bit lately, but I feel like Modern, I don't even know. I was looking at the challenge results from this past weekend. Boros Energy, it is everywhere. The most recent metagame has over 30%. The challenge this weekend, Boros Energy 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 13th. It's a ridiculously prevalent deck. What do we do about this, Richard? We know the BNR is coming up in December. That's our next ban window. What do we do about this deck? So I guess first question, do we need to do something? Like, I know we talked last week about how the experience playing like a league on Moto might not match up to the tournament data all the time. At least that was your experience. But what do you think? Like, is this deck a problem?
So 8 of 12 of the top 12 of this challenge was Boros Energy. Now, clearly, there's a best deck in the format. Like, clearly, right? It's 31% of the metagame. And not only is it the best deck in the format, but it wins. Right? Because a lot of times you get something that's overrepresented, and then by the time you get to top 8, they all get hated out by some key, some key sideboard tech or something, right? Is it a problem? Probably. What are they gonna do about it though? I don't know. The One Ring, which everyone loves to comment on, is only a 3 of in this deck. The energy package is so efficient. It's also modern grinders though. Like at the same time, it's like the best way to beat this open metagame is take the best deck and then have people answer it, right? And like, I don't know.
Take the best deck, add some One Rings, and you're good.
I mean, I think if you ban how critical is this One Ring to this deck, right? Like, it's the package of Galvanic Discharge, Ocelot Pride, Flage is pretty strong.
If you ban just the One Ring, I think Boros Energy gets better. Because Boros Energy was like the best deck in the format without the One Ring. And slowly people realize, wow, the One Ring's pretty busted. I should start playing this in Boros Energy too. So I think that if you just ban the One Ring, all the like Eldrazi decks and control decks, they get like super hurt by that. Boros Energy is like, okay, like whatever. Sure, I don't get to draw as many cards, but my deck's still super busted. So I think banning the One Ring window, I think you do need to probably ban the One Ring for other reasons, but I don't think that's the solution to Boros Energy. We've talked about this before in Pioneer Crim when we were talking about Rakdos, and eventually Rakdos developed into Rakdos fan players and added a combo, and that gave Wizards like a target for their banning so they could ban the Sorin, and it actually worked. But when we were talking like a year ago, we were like, what do you ban out of this deck? Like, how do you even target this? Because it's just a bunch of like good synergistic cards. I feel like this deck's kind of similar. Like, how would you even go about trying to power down this energy deck, Grim?
Dude, that's the problem, and it is exactly like that Rakdos deck, because I didn't think anything in that Rakdos deck was actually that offensive.
Yeah.
And I've always been a believer that if you are just the best deck in the format is just a mid-rangey kind of like, fair deck, that's a pretty good format, right? Or at least a fair deck. So I don't even see anything that's a problem here. I mean, yeah, maybe it's that, I don't know, the energy mechanic is busted no matter how you go about it, right? But it's not even just the energy, right? It's also, believe it or not, the same card that I poo-pooed on, Flage. Flage is also good, right? Like if Richard's bringing in Screaming Nemesis, right? Like then that tells me that clearly there is something with the life gain aspect of it. And Soul Guide or whatever, like, I don't know, it's just too well-oiled of a machine, but no one piece is that problematic.
Right, I feel like if you pick any one card, the deck probably just keeps on trucking for the most part. Like, you could replace any one card and still be okay. Maybe Guide of Souls might be the one that's, like, least replaceable. That's kind of like your big engine. It gives you the aggro starts. Like, maybe that's the card you would go after. I guess you can ban
we really banning a Soul Warden that's beat
I know
up?
Soul Sisters. Yeah, Soul Sisters too good for modern.
No.
It's not Soul Warden, right? It's giving you the resource you need, which it's as if Soul Warden added mana every turn or something like that, right? Like it's not only the life, it's the energy which powers the rest of the deck. My problem is not this deck. My problem is, why can't the unfair decks stomp over this deck? Are the sideboard cards too good? Like, why can't I, if I see, this is like the fairest thing you've ever seen, right? Even when it, does its thing, it's like kind of slow at winning the game, right? So why can't I have a turn 3, turn 4 deck just win? And it's got to be the sideboard cards or something are strong enough to keep everything at bay. the One Ring gives you that extra turn? Like, what is
The One
it
Ring
that allows you to not just die to a fast combo? Or is it the rest of the metagame kind of policing the combo decks out of here?
I
I
mean,
mean, what's the meta like? Murktide, there's like Zoo, and Domain Zoo requires them to like burn you out, right? And you are gonna gain a lot of life in that matchup, so it's kind of hard for them. I don't know. I mean, Murktide just kind of folds to I believe what would be like Graveyard Hate is pretty good against them.
It's just
right?
too fair.
So,
Like, where's Living End? Where's Tron
mean-
type decks? Where's
So-
Living End is there.
if we go to that same challenge that had all the Boros Energy decks, the other deck that put 2 copies in the top 8 is actually Mono Blue Belcher, which is a mix with Tashimi combo. So apparently that's maybe the unfair deck that can keep up with this, where you just try to like play all MDFCs, Lotus Bloom out your Garblin Charbelcher, combo kill that way. Maybe that's the solution to it, but it is interesting. You would think that combo would be in a really good place against these fair decks, but that's just not really playing out that way. We see Ruby Storm as part of the meta, but that deck is pretty hateable. Otherwise, it's that and the Belcher decks, and then otherwise it's a lot of fair decks and control decks and energy decks at the top of the meta.
I think it's Orum's
Dredge
chant.
is back.
For real. Orum's chant is like
Did
a
you
silence.
see Dredge is back?
Ooh, Dredge! I didn't notice that. Is Dredge actually back?
Oh, the
Dredge has been dropping a few 5 and 0s. All right, it's back.
Dredge is too
It got
fragile for
second.
this.
But it got second in that modern challenge, right? That just recently passed. So, I mean, ultimately falling to what I think was the Belcher deck that you talked about. So there's 2 mono blue Belchers in that challenge, and then it would be first place is Belcher, second place is Dredge, and then occupying comfortably 6th through like 9th, I guess, is all Boros Energy. So like really, Boros Energy is a fair deck and still caves to unfair stuff. I just think that maybe people haven't been digging up all the nonsense, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know how this is going to shake out. We did see the historic rebalances, right, of these energy cards where
Yeah.
they went after Guide of Souls, I guess, was the biggest one, and Galvanic Discharge, and also Ocelot. Actually, they just rebalanced like the entire deck, didn't they?
So, yeah, you just
Ocelot, Pride,
rebalanced
Galvanic
every
Discharge, Guide of Souls, just add a little mana, add another energy here or there. And that got me wondering. I was thinking about this. Should we just start rebalancing cards or eroding cards in paper? Have we reached that point? I know in the past, and I know in the past I would always say no. No, you don't. It's too confusing, right? It's too much to keep track of. It's too complicated for new players. Does that apply in 2024 though? I was watching the tournament last weekend, and everyone's got these secret layer cards. The announcers didn't know what they were. I didn't know what they were. Everyone's just like, yeah, okay, let me know if you're dead. Like, we're already in such a convoluted era of Magic where card text doesn't line up with what they do. We ran into this on Clash not that long ago, right? Where there was a card that like we were playing the original printing, but it had updated wording that made it work slightly differently. Does it even matter anymore? Like, there's so many creature types missing on cards because of creature type updates, and cards that are misprinted, like the new Coma and the Secret Lair drop that says it triggers only on your upkeep instead of every upkeep. You can't just play the card by reading the card anyway. So should Erratas be on the table?
I mean, one of the most annoying things is playing old cards and knowing, like, just deep down in my gut, this is probably not that rules text,
Yeah,
right? This has definitely been updated. And, like, you want to do it digitally, that's great, have at it. But, like, when it comes to paper, I would just rather it be banned.
Yeah. Like, what is the point? Like, why save it? What is so precious about Boros Energy that we need to, like, save it, right? Like,
If it's problematic, axe the cards, and if it can adjust, it can adjust. If it can't, the point Seth brought up is those are mistakes, right? Like when you misprint a card, that's not ideal, right? When you print a card with certain wording and then 10 years later, the rules change and you need to update it. Well, you couldn't really foresee that, right? But if you just want to change the words because you don't like how the card plays, that you can avoid, right? Like that one,
Yeah.
you're just adding to the confusion. But I think we would agree that in all the cases where the card does not match what it does, it's very confusing, right? But you just know it's like this is a 20-year-old card that has weird words. Like I think it doesn't play the way it does. You look it up, right? But if it's a pack fresh card, you would kind of expect it to do what it does. And I don't know why we need to save Guide of Souls. Like if it's bad, just get rid of it, right? Like I don't know, right? And like so it just seems like a lot of work. Your deck is probably dead anyway if Wizards is successful. So it's not like you're saving the value of your deck or anything, right? So I don't know. I think get rid of it. Maybe
And
you
there'd
could
be-
argue that no one plays paper and it's all digital, so you might as well just do it for
So
digital.
it doesn't
folks.
matter.
Because I think it's even worse that it plays different digitally than it does in paper, right? Like when we
Yes.
talk about alchemy, that just gets really confusing, right? So I think you should do it to everything. So if you're gonna errata it digitally, then I guess you do it paper as well. But the cleanest is just ban everything and just make new cards. You make like 1 million cards every year. I'm sure you can make Guide of Souls 2.0 in the next set if you really needed this, right? Like,
What did they actually do online as well? I'm very curious. Like, what is the alchemy version?
The alchemy
I'm curious if it
versions
even
of
fixes
those
it.
cards. Okay, I'll,
Yeah, let's
I'll
just say
I'll give
Guide
you
of
the-
Souls.
I got the alchemy versions here. I will say real quickly before I will go over these. One last thing on the rod idea. My other concern would just be Wizards going too far with it, because sometimes it feels like with alchemy cards they can just throw them out into the wild and see what happens because they know they can fix them later. So maybe it would make it easier to do that. Like they they rebalance Haywire Might, modern staple, very good card, and they're just like, we're gonna add one more toughness to this for some reason. I'm like, why would you do that? So I don't know if I want Wizards to be able to twist that many knobs because bad things can happen. But as far as the rebalance, Guide of Souls, same exact card. The difference is you need to pay 4 energy to put 2 counters on something and make it into an angel and all that stuff rather than 3 energy. So essentially +1 energy to its activated ability. Galvanic Discharge, you only get 2 energy instead of 3 energy. And then Ocelot Pride, they just added a mana to, and it is really bad now because it's 2 mana instead of 1 mana. It's a 2-drop,
Okay,
yeah.
well,
It's a 2-drop now.
Okay, so the galvanic discharge I think actually be pretty good. I think that would make it much more reasonable, right? Because it still scales well if you store up enough energy, but just 3 right out the gates.
That's a lot.
And when everything's like X1 and X2, that means you still net energy at the end of everything, right? So, ooh, I think Guide of Souls costing more, whatever, sure, like try it, but oh man, it feels so weird to look at these cards and think something here needs to go. I see these. And it just kind of seems funny to me because they seem so fair. But
Because
although
they all essentially add 1 mana on ETB or something, right? Like there's this energy system that's cheating resources. And now you have essentially a 1 mana spell that can kill like an 8 toughness creature for like free. Right? And like what makes it free? It's not the Galvanic Discharge, it's like the Guide of Souls, which adds a mana. Then you cast the Ocelot Pride, that adds a mana for you, right? And then we just talked about how Ocelot Pride going to 2 mana makes everything unplayable, right? But like you're just getting free energy left and right here, and then you're playing cards way above curve. It's like everything had Delve or something, right? So my conclusion is stop messing with the mana system. Stop making things cost differently than what we expect. And then it's always like, oh, it's like Delve. We'll just overcost it and add this thing, right? Phyrexian mana. Oh, you just pay some life, like it's this thing where Galvanic Discharge should not be this powerful, right? Like Guide of Souls should not be adding like infinite energy for you, right? Like there's a problem here. And it's just every card just adds a little. It's like if you took 1 mana value off every card in your deck in Jund, you're like, nothing's really problematic exactly. But then the whole deck is like crazy strong now, right?
The funny thing is you're describing...
If they axe Guide of Souls, is that just the end of the deck then?
I feel like it is. I mean, you got to check the Boros.
That's the one that
what are you
would hurt the
mulligan for
most.
in Boros Energy? And I think Guide of Souls is probably up there, no?
The funny thing is you're describing the same exact problem we had in Standard with energy. Like it played the exact same way. And that's how we ended up with like Attune with Ether being banned and all these random bannings that look so silly. But they managed to do almost exactly the same thing in Modern, like a decade later that they did in Standard. So maybe the problem's just energy. Like, should we just be like, stop printing energy cards? Because this is just like an inherently broken mechanic that's impossible to ever be fair because of how it cheats on the resource system, and it's like pretty parasitic in nature, makes you play all of the energy cards together. Like, should we just not do energy anymore? Is that the solution?
Energy, Phyrexian mana, Delve. What other cheaty resources? It's like Graveyard as a resource never works. Life as a resource never works. Energy as a resource never works. And they did fix Phyrexian mana, right? Like the latest round of Phyrexian mana. But the problem is when you fix it, it sucks, so no one plays it, and therefore it's fixed, right? Like it's barely it barely sees play, right?
I'm curious. I mean, like I would rather them try, to like fix it and then have it suck. At least now we know what the floor kind of looks like. And I think I like them exploring spaces and revisiting mechanics. I think that this is they may have gone a little and overtuned it even more because this one they had to design for modern, right? But I hope they bring it back in standard.
Yes.
And I hope they don't make it anything like this. This is too powerful. And I need them to fall somewhere like where they did with Phyrexian mana when that came back to standard. So I think it's a good thing that they're still trying to innovate within the spaces they've gone to before. Revisiting mechanics, stuff like that. That's all cool. Just,
I agree.
Tune some more knobs.
Standard is the right place because it goes away, right? Like, and if you're aiming for a standard power level, even if you overshoot, it may not go into modern and legacy, right? Because you gotta jump like 2 levels to get into there. What I don't like is them experimenting with modern because it stays there forever until you ban it, right? Like that's the problem. So standard, I love this kind of experimentation because it rotates. That's the place you're supposed to do this. Well, I mean, it used to rotate, kind of rotates now, right?
It still rotates.
I would
Get at it.
It does.
I mean, modern rotates faster than standard. We get modern horizons at a faster rate.
I agree with both of you, and I agree with Krim in general about like revisiting old mechanics. I want to see that. I don't know if I want to see that with energy in specific. That might just be like a bad risk to take. Like I don't want them to revisit Nadu, for example, even though I want them to revisit like a lot of cards. So maybe energy is just not the place to do that. The most appalling thing about this deck is really it's essentially a Modern Horizons 3 block constructed deck. If you look through it, Guide of Souls, Ocelot Pride, Johnny, Amped Raptor, Flage, Galvanic Discharge, Static Prison, like 30 of the 37 non-land cards are from Modern Horizons 3, and this is the best deck in Modern. So if there was ever a deck that exemplified the modern rotation thing that people bring up and how these Horizon sets come in and just like completely overthrow the meta, I think this is the one. And even the cards that aren't from Modern Horizons 3 is like a Ragavan slips in, a One Ring slips in.
Which is, by the way, Modern Horizons 1.
Always good. And a companion. You got to have the companion too to remember the glory days of Ikoria. Yeah.
It's all direct to modern cards, right? The One Ring.
And Lightning Bolt, the one real
Lightning
Magic
Bolt,
card that
Blood
survives.
and Mountain
30 years later.
That's the OG card right
Which
there.
I've seen is like the idea that Lightning Bolt is not like a playset card and it's just maybe like a 2 of in some of these lists. Like it's like, you know what, we'll throw it a bone. It's decent.
Oh, we got to go back to that Homelands rule where you have to play some cards from like each set. We need to make a rule. They have to play some non-Modern Horizons cards in your modern deck. Anyway, before we get on to our next topic, a quick word from today's sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by Shopify. We've been using Shopify for years to run our merch store, MTGGoldfishMerch.com. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business, from the launch your online shop stage to our first real-life store stage, all the way to the did a million order stage. Shopify is there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soaps or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. What's great about Shopify is it works no matter how big you are. From selling your first tokens to handling your huge ebb and flow playmat campaign, everything was a breeze due to Shopify. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US, and Shopify is a global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow grow on Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial at shopify.com/goldfish. All lowercase letters. Go to shopify.com/goldfish now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/goldfish. I might be a professional Magic content creator, but one thing I'm definitely not a pro at is shipping. I'd much rather be trying to figure out a way to win with Hedron alignment than dealing with figuring out the best way to ship merch or send playmats around the world, but thankfully I don't have to because of ShipStation. You know those signed playmats in the merch store? Those really only exist because ShipStation lets us send them around the world with a single click of the button in the fastest, most affordable way possible, with discounts of up to 89% off UPS, DHL Express, and USPS shipping rates. ShipStation makes printing labels easy and makes customer service a breeze, so I can focus on building that next great spicy deck instead of shipping. Over 130,000 companies, including MTGGoldfish, have used ShipStation to grow their e-commerce business, and now you can try ShipStation for free. Lead your e-commerce business into a smarter future with shipping software that delivers. Switch to ShipStation today. Go to ShipStation.com and use the code GOLDFISH to get your 60-day free trial. That's ShipStation.com, code GOLDFISH. All right, so we talked a lot about Modern. I want to bring up Pioneer really quickly because I've been enjoying Pioneer quite a bit lately, and I know Crim's been playing a little bit because I've seen the videos you're working on, so I know you've been playing it too. I played that Super Fair Coco deck that we were kind of laughing about last podcast. That deck's actually really good. I thought it was gonna be way too fair and just like slow,
no way.
But I played it and we crushed it with that deck. It looks so bad, but like apparently all these little just like taxing creatures added together actually is a pretty powerful strategy. So I've been really enjoying that deck. Crim, what have you been playing in Pioneer lately?
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I've been playing so much blue black ninjas, the ninjutsu stuff.
How's it work for you?
It's so good. It's so much fun. Like I have been dumpstering people. Okay, the game where you get like ninjutsu Kaido on the board, it feels nasty. And then if you play Satoru and then you play Ornithopter, you draw a card because you spent no mana, you ninjutsu the Ornithopter back, and I'm just like, I have so many cards, I forget Kaido has a 0 ability. I just straight up I just +1 and I just beat down. That's it. It's so good. It's so much fun, and it's very rewarding if you play the list tight. But it's like any kind of tempo deck, right? If I Clown Fiesta my way and then like misplay, then I'm probably gonna lose that one. But other than that, it's been so good. Okay, this is crazy. I didn't think it'd happen, but I actually built it in paper.
Whoa,
I built it in paper,
Crim,
and I built
Pioneer
blue white.
Player.
Yeah. I'm like, yo, hey, hold on. Like you aren't my first love, but you're my side piece right now because, yo, you are not standard, but I will play you because this paper Magic feels kind of good right now, and like blue-white control is fun. Like, oh, and it helps that good. I got that promo Supreme Verdict, so I'm not going to complain about that.
The Ninja deck, I played some of the Ninja deck too. I also found it really fun. What do you think about the idea that it's like a card or two away from being really good? That was my overall impression, is it's like, it's fun and it's pretty competitive. I felt like the 2-drop slot was kind of weak. Like the Nashi, I think is pretty janky. And even like Satoru was a little hit or miss. I feel like if we get one more set with ninjas in it, that this could be like a legit top tier, like one of the better decks in Pioneer.
There is a new list, I don't know if you've seen, but it uses just pretty much Moon Circuit Hacker and Kaidos for ninjutsu, and it plays even 3-drop Kaido, right?
Ooh,
but otherwise it's
like
like Mockingbird, Flood Pit's Drowner, and it's got Fairy Miscreants and like just Brazen Bars, and it just looks like the most it's so much tempo. Like it's all tempo. This is beautiful. Like I want to try this list. But yeah, like all around, it won like I think the Pioneer Challenge, and it looks kind of cool, dude.
I'll have to try that. Yeah, I hadn't seen the new list, but yeah, that does look pretty sweet. Flood Prince Drowner is a card I really like a lot. That's almost like, is it even ninjas? It's not like it's ninja heavy as the other version, but it's kind of like a Kaido blue black tempo deck, really, or almost like a fairy style deck. Richard, have you tried Pioneer at all? I feel like you I feel like I tell you this every year, like, hey, you should really try Pioneer. I think you might like it. Like, it's kind of like classic Modern.
Pioneer, I think, is what original Modern was supposed to be, right? Because it's the last bastion of hope for people that don't want cards printed into their format, right? Because Pioneer, there's no Pioneer Masters, Pioneer Horizons yet, right?
Yep.
So
no Universes Beyond.
I hope they don't. I really hope they don't.
I mean, you know they're gonna do it at some point, but like
No,
right now, it's
just do standard
the only
Horizons
format that doesn't get affected by this. So I think it's time to play Pioneer, boys. I think it's time to play Pioneer. Although it does suffer the problem of just like whatever standard deck gets good, like kind of just overtakes Pioneer because of how powerful standard is. I wish there was a little more separation. We need to wait a little longer for there to be like a big separation, but I'm down. I'm down to play Super Fair Coco.
Hey.
You could just come play Standard, Richard, as well.
Standard's also really good.
The good old days, sleeving up your deck, going to F&M, dump
I am
some
just
people in
looking for
Standard.
Karma going to be reprinted in Standard, okay? I don't even know what I want to play anymore.
It could.
It would suck, though.
They should just, I was thinking about, I asked this on Twitter today. I was thinking about this with Foundations, and I think me and Krim might have like talked about this a while ago on the cast when you weren't here. But with Foundations, we know they're doing Llanowar Elves. We know they're doing Day of Judgment. We're getting these iconic reprints. Tarmogoyf, I think, 100% could be one of those. Like, it would be so safe in Standard. There's no...
My point, 30 Seth. Don't bring him into Standard to be a laughing stock.
Would it even be playing in Standard?
No.
I don't know if it actually... I think it's worse than like Urborg Lurgoyf and Cruel Somnophage, and like it's probably harder to turn on in Standard than
it's
those
not
cards.
even good in Pioneer. You don't have fetch lands. You need fetch lands to make your Goyf respectable, right? And you need Thoughtseize. Like if you don't play Thoughtseize and you don't play fetch lands, your Goyf is like terrible. It's like a laughing stock
1-2
game. Yeah, not even like a 0. I can't even kill a 1-2. Right? It's very difficult.
I am so curious. I actually feel like if they would have reprinted Goyf, they would have put it in Duskmourn, right? Right? Because Duskmourn cares with Delirium.
Yeah.
Like this would be the set, right? But
you're right.
I mean, maybe I don't know. Like I guess. If they reprinted it, I don't know which set. I don't even know if it's good. I genuinely do not know if it's good. I agree with Richard. You need fetches. You need a lot of that stuff, and I'm not playing Evolving Wilds or whatever. So like, don't worry.
I think it'd be pretty safe. That'd be cool though. Is there anything else you'd like to see come in Foundations? Like what else from these older sets would we like to see be permanently legal in Standard?
Mana Leak.
Oh. Well, at least you didn't say Mana Drain.
No. Come on now. Let's be reasonable. I know Mana Drain is powerful. Or you know what? Just reprint No More Lies. Just because I want No More Lies all the time.
Mana Leak be fine. Wouldn't it be
safe.
fine?
Yeah.
They have No More Lies. I think it would actually be fine.
Just people don't like it.
Yeah.
It's safe. It's just you don't want to play against it. That's all, right? Like you're
Why
trying to
not?
get new
It's
players.
So good.
I think
Oh, you're here to play the game of
magic.
Magic? Counterspell. You don't even see a thing hit your board.
Unless you pay 3.
They just have to also put Cavern in Foundation, so we always have Cavern
No.
because all these counter spells we have really powerful counters right now, but they're not oppressive by any means because you can just play Cavern, so they're like arguably not even that good, and we kind of do have Mana Leak in Standard, and 3-step set's really good, but you can just like prevent it with Cavern, so I would be down
Because
for
if
that.
you let something through, you die. The problem is back in the good old days, you could Doomblade it and catch back up.
Yeah.
But now anything goes
No.
through, you're like insta dead, right? So it's a tough world to be playing counter spells.
I mean, you have to have the answers match the threats, right? We talked about this a while ago on the podcast, and they are now making the answers catch up to the threats.
So I got this this Reddit post, Richard. You actually brought this up, but I think it's an interesting topic, so we're gonna add it in here. The Reddit post says, "Could a TCG without a gambling mechanic in booster packs succeed?" And this got me thinking. Could it? Like, do you think so? That would be a living card game, right? A LCI, like a living card game, kind of like a board game version of a TCG. Do you think that booster packs are essential for the success of card games? Because we've never really seen a living card game explode to the level of Magic or Pokemon or Hearthstone. Like, it just doesn't work that way. Like, could do you build a successful game without having the loot boxes?
I mean, we kind of saw that with Runeterra, sort of, right? Like Runeterra, to an extent, maybe it wasn't a paper game, but it was a very good economy, right? Like you got all your cards for like pretty much just a little bit of like grinding out, right? And so now if we're taking that to the paper model, or like I feel like if I could just get every card I needed and it was very costed, it was very easy, like it wouldn't feel a part of any card game, Pokemon, what I'm trying to say, yeah, like what I'm trying to say is like any card game that we play now that like I love, I play them all. I collect them all too. There's the casual appeal when you get that cool hit, that super cool border, that foiling, that rare card. That feeling goes away. And I think that just
then you
kind
need
of
to crack
absolutely
another pack to do it again.
Yeah, like,
It's called addiction, Krim. It's called addiction.
yes, maybe I have a problem. Yes, okay.
I'm there with you. I love cracking packs.
Both can be true. Then I have a problem, and that, like, I think the game needs that element, that wow factor, right? Like, oh my god, for it to thrive.
It's intrinsic. I mean, that's what. Okay, so as much as we love being sweaty and getting the dopamine hit for like winning something, we all kind of suck and we can't win anything useful, right? like you know what I mean? Like most people can like barely contend to win their FNM, let alone a Grand Prix or Pro Tour or Worlds or anything like that, right? But you know what's easy? Forking over another like $4 for a booster and trying to crack that serialized card, right? And you know what?
Oh,
you can actually do it.
Dopamine.
You can actually do it, right? So these games kind of thrive on that. And at the end of the day, I think like that's the most important part, right? Like, so
well, that and sharing that experience, right?
Yeah.
And like no one wants to share, oh, look, cool, I opened 7 commons that are very good in this game, but like you know, like it's like you want to share that moment and like what I was talking about, that experience with somebody. Like, yo, Richard, Seth, get around. I'm gonna crack open this collector's booster. I might open hot garbage, but I think what makes the game like thrive is when you share experiences and moments like that, because you remember the bad times, you remember the good times. There's this weird fun element to it.
Yeah, I think it would be very tough. Like, I'm right there with you. I love opening booster packs, and I feel like those moments are really important. Plus, I think it's hard for me to imagine the LCI model making nearly as much money because gambling is very profitable. We see, if you ever watch like a football game, there is a lot of advertisements for like various sports gambling sites. Like, it's a very profitable business, and like the element of chance makes it interesting and it makes you want to keep coming back. So I think that plays into it as well, right? The psychology of it.
It is predatory. It is predatory.
It is.
We agree
like,
with that.
Yeah,
right?
it is. Yeah, I do agree with that. The same way like sports gambling or any of that, lottery tickets, any of that stuff is the same way. So there is a predatory aspect, but it also makes the game kind of work, and it does lead to those epic moments. Like, you wouldn't watch a video of someone opening like millions of people watch people opening like an alpha booster pack or something. That wouldn't exist. Like, that wouldn't matter. Black Lotus wouldn't be Black Lotus if there was an LCI. Like, the reason Black Lotus is so iconic is because there's only 20,000 copies in existence, and if everyone just had them, it wouldn't be the same. So I don't think it would really work, would it?
Okay, hold on, wait. Are we saying there's no merit to anything without gambling? I was about to bring up professional sports where it's just a game, all the pieces are known and you just play. But apparently we had to tack on fantasy teams and pick'ems and everything to make that viable. But like chess, right? Like there's no gamba for your queens or whatever. You just get all the pieces, you sit down and you play and you see who's the best. Is there no merit to just playing
Imagine how much
and like showing how good you are, right?
Imagine how much more popular chess would be though if you got to crack your queen out of a booster pack, and if you get the serialized 1/1 queen, I would actually be buying chess pieces probably.
Yeah, that'd be kind of sick though, right? Because I mean, think about it. I own a Super Mario chessboard, and I play so much more chess after I got that Super Mario chessboard. Like, dude, it's so sick. So I kind of agree. If chess allowed you get like, I don't know, an etched foil queen or king piece, I'm like, yo, that's kind of dope.
I think
got a
Richard's
question.
right.
Does this translate to digital? Do you feel that rush opening the Arena digital packs?
No,
No.
right?
No.
Therefore,
But-
Arena
No.
is as if Magic had no Gamba. Is that what we're saying? Because I cracked tons of packs
hear
on
me out,
Arena,
though.
nothing happens.
It's a chore.
Hear me out,
like
though,
it's
okay?
it's just tedious. Yeah, you just try to get through the crack packing so you can actually play the game. Yeah.
That's because, online I just want to play the game, but there is the brand new game coming out from Pokemon. They invited me out to play it, and I can actually say this. And so it's Pokemon Pocket. And it's meant to focus on the casual side. It's got a really, like right now, it released early in New Zealand. Everyone says it's absurdly free to play. You can get there on a really nice account, and it's really fun because it focuses on the casual side of just collecting. And there's a simplified game mode if you want to play with the cards. But we're talking about the pack opening experience when I played it in person was crazy. They allow you to kind of move your phone around to look at the pack, and you can kind of see the foil. Like if you open the Pokemon pack, oh damn,
Wow.
and they
Hold the light up to
I'm
it.
telling you, dude,
You gotta put on the scale. Yeah, see what it weighs.
there's actually slabs. You can display your collection.
No, they're slabbing digital cards.
It's not like it gets graded, but
10
it's
out
like
of
a
10
clear
Magic
case.
Arena card.
Dude, it's kind of sick, dude. It's kind of sick, and it focuses on the game. It's not because I was like, okay, is this gonna be some weird NFT BS? I'm like, I played it, and it actually was really fun, and it focuses on just about your collection, and it really did a good job of just leaning in to the casual side of this. And you can decorate binders. A community can rate your binder and your display. Dude, it's fun, man.
But it's digital,
fun. And
right?
they didn't.
It's all digital.
It's all digital. It's all digital. And I sat in a room with some high up Pokemon execs talking about their philosophy and design behind this game. And first off, that was intimidating. And second off, it was they really leaned into it. They're like, if you want to play and get sweaty, go to our online client in Pokemon Live. This is meant for the casual, the collector base, and all of that. And they didn't actually allow us to use the trade feature yet, but that's on its way. I don't know how that's gonna work. I hope it's is proximity based.
Ooh.
I think if a game focuses on its casual side, something like that, and it could be done possibly right. And there's some really cool arts they have in that game that are called immersions, where you look at the art and it takes you into the art. You can watch the art, it's animated, all this other stuff. So I actually think right now that feeling of, oh, I wish I could open packs digitally and have it be fun. I think that might be Pokemon Pocket, and I think y'all should try it. Legitimately. It looks fun. And it comes out at the end of this month, and it's free to play. It's essentially Pokemon Sleep, but I stopped playing that because I'm like, I don't care. This is just I don't get to play anything.
Is it gonna be out when we're in Vegas? Do you remember
Oh,
2
every
years ago in
year.
Vegas when you
Kim
guys
sells
played
us on
Marvel
some
Snap
new
the whole
card game.
time?
Yo,
We
I
just
was
played
straight
Marvel
up
Snap
in the
whole time,
can
yeah.
playing Marvel Snap, baby. but legit, no. It's coming out after. It's the end of the month,
Oh,
the
okay,
30th or
okay.
something like that.
So this will
But-
do very well, as the whole gacha gaming industry has shown, right? People just collect pixels. They will collect pixels, right? And they will spend absurd amounts of money
Skins.
to collect this. However, as a gacha gamer myself, it pales into comparison to TCGs. When you open a sparkly card, something in your monkey brain goes off that is not the same thing as looking at some nice pixels on your screen. Right. And, I collect a lot of pixels. I bought a lot of variants in Snap. I play Genshin. I play Honkai. Right. But you know what gets me the best,
They
Crim?
got you.
SPs in One Piece. I'm like, whoa, look at these cards, right? It's so sparkly, and the art, and you could totally put it digitally, but there's just something different about it, and it's hard
Is
to
it-
capture digitally.
Is it purely a
you-
finance thing? Is it purely that your paper card is worth, you pull the sparkly rare thing and it's super expensive and the digital one doesn't really have any value, or doesn't that really play into it?
Oh,
you
the
don't
digital
think?
one totally gets value, right? You do your $1 pull, and you get a character that's supposed to be normally $180, right? It's worth
Okay,
it's worth
so you
a ton
still
of
get
money.
the same
but
the same
it's-
feeling, yeah.
I don't know. There's something different about there's a reason why everything is foil, because something about our eyes, oh yeah, sparkly, must be good, right? I don't know what it is, but it just feels better. It looks better.
All right. Look in the chat really quick. So the new Gundam TCG is coming out.
Oh no. Okay.
And one thing that Bandai has done
this
has
this
absolutely
Ariel.
killed the foiling game. Like, it looks so good. Like, look at the art.
But the problem is, like, we'll be showing this picture. Like, this picture does not dictate what it looks like in real life. Right? Like when you see it in real life, it'll be like 5x better.
I mean, Magic cards are like that too, where you see the foils online and then you see them in person, and you're like, wow, it pops so much more.
Yeah. The double etched or whatever, the exposure, the black on black frames, the textured foils from Duskmourn are so good in person.
Yeah.
The fractured foils are gorgeous.
I wonder if it's the texture. The texture is also very key, right? Like in digital, you don't get any texture.
Yeah.
But the Bandai cards get like the really nice texture on them as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, we sound like a bunch of addicted.
We do.
We are.
I
mean, Richard just said he plays every gacha, and I play every card game.
And
so
I crack the boosters.
Seth buys collector boosters like water.
I'll tell you how bad it is. So I just spent like hundreds of dollars on One Piece cards. For the sole purpose, like the game piece is like 50 cents, but I'm like, no, I need the $100 version to bling it out, right? So after spending hundreds of dollars on One Piece, I'm like, I feel bad. I didn't buy anything from my Magic collection, so I'm like, wow, I gotta spend like at least $500 on blinging out Magic cards. So now I'm like looking at Secret Lairs and like, should I get this Fierce Guardianship? Like, I feel bad. I need to give Magic some love.
I got them both as we were recording.
I was actually going to ask you, that was actually the last topic we had before Fish Mail. The new Secret Lair drop went for sale. Normally, Secret Lair drops, not really newsworthy anymore because we get them so often, but this one is a charity drop for Extra Life. Half the proceeds going to charity, which is kind of nice. The big deal is the $40 drop has a Fierce Guardianship in it, which is a $40 card, and then apparently Delayed Fireball is actually a $15 card, plus you get a Lightning Bolt and a Mana Geyser. Krim, you already bought it. Richard, you've been on the fence for the last hour. Are you going to do it? Is this worth it? Should people pick up the Secret Lair drop?
Wait, you got to tell people what it is. It's more than just that.
So
it is
charity.
Okay, so it's for charity.
Right.
It's pixel art that reminds me of like NES, of Flip fighting Nicole Bolas. That's what it reminds me of, like NES pixel art.
There's a health bar on top, like, and then it's like if you've played Star Fox, so you remember how like the characters, they pop up in a box as they're yelling at you in dialogue, things like that, like, classic old game dialogue boxes with a Johnny in the art there yelling at you, telling you what to do. This looks so good, dude. Like, it not only is it for a great cause, like I can now it's so cool. There's a pixelated Fibblethip using mental like waves to protect himself from Bolas. How sick is that?
The art is. I like the art. And the value's there. Like a lot of the Secret Lair drops recently have been like, the art's cool, but the cards themselves aren't that valuable. This time, the cards are valuable, but are they valuable enough to get Richard to click that buy button?
The only card here is Fierce Guardianship. Right, so Mana Geyser is really good. Fierce Guardianship, but you're basically just paying full price for Fierce Guardianship. And do you want the pixel version? I was telling Seth about this. I don't play Fierce Guardianship that much anymore. So this is a big problem for me. And then Seth is like, I don't either because I think it's too OP. And I'm like, really? I think it sucks. So that was an interesting conversation. But essentially, I don't play my commander until I'm gonna win the game. Because commanders are so powerful nowadays. If you leave it out, people just kill it. Right, so my Fierce Guardianship isn't online most of the time, so I always play the Pact of Negation, which also just released in Future Sight Border.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. I'm on the fence. I do play Mana Geyser. Lightning Bolt, Delayed Fireball Blast are kind of meh. The Frame, the Johnny. Oh, what should
where's
I do
the
with
art
this,
for you,
guys?
Richard? Where's the art? Where would, just based on the aesthetic, where would you put it? Like S tier, A tier, C tier? Like, do you like the style of it personally? Because that's a lot of what it comes down to.
I really like Mana Geyser and Lightning Bolt. Delayed Fireball Blast looks really good. Fierce Guardianship is the one I hate the most.
So that's the one you like the least, but that's the most valuable one. Yeah,
that's the one I actually need to play though. I only play 2 cards in this layer. I hate how they always give you like 2 scuffed cards and 2 good cards.
Yeah. Although in this case, at least the stuff cards are like Mana Geyser and Lightning Bolt, which are kind of playable.
Could play it in Boros Energy, huh? I don't know. I guess I could play it in Jund.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna. I mean, I have a list
Are
of
we
cards.
doing it?
I need to buy Miku Harmonize in foil. You know, so a lot
got
of the
you.
Miku cards
I
aren't
got you.
foil. The thespian stage, there's not a foil version of it. The Miku
There is,
thespian
right?
stage.
There is.
There's no foil.
I have it.
Interesting.
Wait, you have it?
I have it.
I don't see it online.
Oh, I know I have it. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99.9% sure I have it. 'cause I bought-
Rainbow foil.
Yeah, I bought two-
Yeah.
I bought foil, non-foil English, foil Japanese, non-foil Japanese.
my
I have a
God.
play set.
Well, Krim got them all.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez. Yeah. Like I take anime cards over this. The pixel's pretty high. I like the pixel cards. If this was
Dude, the
Pact of
pixels
Negation,
are hot. These are good.
this was Pact of
If it
Negation,
was
I'd
Pact of
follow.
Negation.
I mean, I don't play
Richard is such a-
Fierce.
Oh, it's so funny because like 99% of Commander players pay Fierce over Pact, and there's Richard Pacton.
I mean, so the way I play my deck is if I put it in every deck, it's like a no-brainer bling. But if I only put it in like a half or a third or something, like then I'm like, wow,
Not worth
is it really worth it, right? So, but this
Yeah.
is for charity though. It's a good cause, so maybe that swings it.
Yeah.
We do have 35 days. It is not limited. This is print to demand.
Yep.
Does
You
this
got
also
time.
mean
No,
it's going to
until-
take 8 years to get? Am I going to get it next week, or is this going to come out like 6 months?
It might
I
be.
believe you have it
It might be 6
until the
months from
17th.
now.
I think so. Actually, hold on. I can answer that for you because they sent me an email saying that look to see this get shipped. Blah 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 blah. Your
because
order
Grim
is
already ordered
estimated to
his,
ship
yeah.
on October 16th.
Oh, so
Oh, wow.
2 days?
Oh, you know what? You know what it probably is. You know what I think they do with these is they print some, and if you order early, you get yours shipped right away. But like if you order them 3 weeks from now, you
Stop
might
FOMOing me.
have to wait. So yeah, the FOMO, Richard. If you're gonna do it, you better do it now.
Rational purchasing decisions.
This is gonna show up before I leave for Vegas, if that's the case.
Oh, that's hot. The other thing I like to do is look at cards in real life. So when I go to Vegas, I see everyone's bling deck. I'm like, does this look nice? Because like Seth said, a lot of times cards look a lot better in real life. So maybe some other scuffed cards, which I think are scuffed, actually turn out better. I really want the fractured foils from Dustmorn, the Enduring Innocence.
Whew.
Oh,
Enduring Curiosity is so cute.
I want
as
that's
well.
no, I want Enduring Innocence. I want the lamb.
Yeah,
I want the white one.
The cat, though.
But
Anyway.
here's guardianship.
We'll find out next week if Richard actually took the plunge and bought his secret layer drop. We'll check in next episode. But I think right now it is time for fish mail. Richard, can you fish mail us?
All right. If you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail. And we'll get to your questions on air. So there was a question about errating a card. We already did that. There's a question from Jack W212V2. I'll ask you this. Out of Death Race, Return to Tarkir, Space Opera, Return to Lorwyn, and Return to Arcavios, what are you most hyped for? And I asked Seth,
Ooh.
Arcavios is Strixhaven, apparently.
Yeah, that's Strixhaven. I am most hyped about Return to Lorwyn, actually. I think Return to Lorwyn's really cool. I think Lorwyn's just, if they do the art right, it's going to be so good. Oh, it's one of my favorite planes just to look at the cards because they're so unique and have such a cool vibe. So really excited about that one. The other ones all sound super good as well. I guess number 2 would probably be, I don't know, that Space Opera sounds intriguing. That's either going to be horrible or great, but what do you guys think? What are you most hyped for?
Once Universes Beyond Star Wars coming is how soon after Space Opera? Because I don't want it to be a case where we get, lightsabers at home in Space Opera, and then like 6 months later we get Universes Beyond Star Wars proper.
I wonder if it means they can't do the crossover. I wonder if they like asked for Star Wars and they were like, nah, we're not going to give you our IP. And they're like, we'll do it ourselves. We'll make our own Space Opera set.
I feel Star Wars is pretty liberal with their IP. I feel they sell their IP
Yeah.
to anything.
Maybe they have to do this to get us into space, so then they can take the plunge full on with Star Wars. This is easing us into the idea of magic. And
I mean,
outer
if
space.
we've
First
done
we did the
Marvel,
Unset, now this.
There's no reason we can't do Star Wars, right? They're both Disney companies.
Yeah.
I like
Marvel
Space
and Final
Opera.
Fantasy weren't mentioned either for next year, but those are also on the list.
Yeah, like, wait, hold on. Final Fantasy is next year.
Yeah, but
They said 2025.
I
right?
think
these
Final
are
Fantasy
these are
and
all
Marvel is
universes
like
within.
2025,
These are
yeah.
all magic.
Oh, these
Magic
are not
lore that they've
counting the
listed.
universes beyond. Okay.
Oh, right. I actually don't even know what's on that list of sets that come out because I have been so focused on like when is Final Fantasy getting here. I also want the Death Race set too.
Yeah,
That's
what,
the
what does that
next set.
mean, Krim? Do you know what is that?
It's like
Mad
Twisted,
Max.
I'm thinking like Twisted Metal, things
God.
like that, and
That's so old. Is that still a thing?
I don't even know if people know what that is. Oh God, listen,
I don't
do
know
you
what
even
that is.
Twisted
Dated
Metal is?
yourself.
Okay, well, Seth, if Seth doesn't know what it is, it's not like, it's not a make or break.
It's true.
Although
yeah,
Return to Lorwyn, is that on there? Yo, that
is on there.
hold on.
yeah.
Is this
Enter
our
here.
chance? Is this our chance? Is Fairies gonna be good?
Fairies
Come
back.
on,
Bitter Blossom in Standard, Krim. They're gonna do it. It's happening.
please let Bitter Blossom be in Standard so that he can get lost and that's it.
Anyway, I think that brings us to the end of our cast for today. Richard, how do people send in fish mail for next week?
All right, hit us up at MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air.
And you can also let us know which of those sets you're most hyped about for next year. But anyway, that brings us to the end of our cast for today. Richard, Krim, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to Card Conduit for supporting the show. And we will be back next week to talk about whatever goes on in the world of Magic. So until then, have an amazing week, everyone. And this is Crew signing out.